conservative Republican who should already be on the GOP
Amen.
ballot.
Amen.
But for last-minute maneuvers by our current Secretary of State, Frank LaRosa's office, instructing boards of elections to invalidate 2/3 of her verified signatures to remove her candidacy. But in typical Tori fashion, she said, he's not getting rid of me that easily. And she's now running as an independent to get directly on the November ballot. So please, if you haven't already, please sign. We've got the table set up there. We only have until Monday to get 5,000 signatures, and we could really use your help. First, Tori has two beautiful daughters, Hera and Phoebe, who came with her today. And Tori has served in uniform in the U.S. Navy and non-uniform, gathering and analyzing foreign intelligence. She has a degree in molecular and cellular physiology. She also has training in cryptolinguistics, computational linguistics, game theory, and predictive analytics. She's an independent journalist. I highly recommend that you read her cited articles on ToriSays.com. And if that's not enough, she's most well known for having one of the most popular news commentary podcasts with a global audience called The Tori Says Show.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like all conservative patriots who share the truth, she has been deplatformed by big tech, and most recently on Twitch, where she had one of their most popular shows.
900 out of 8 million.
There you go. But you can still find her on Rumble. Weekday evenings from 7:30 to 9:30. Search Tori Says. And if you're on Telegram, search for her chat titled Tori Says Plus. And the plus represents us, her audience. She's also been featured in the documentary Shadowgate 1 and 2, and a third installment is going to be released this summer. What gives her credibility is what she's worked within the deep state of government agencies, and lucky for us, she turned whistleblower when she realized how they were actively working against us, we the people, particularly with the voting machines. She knows how those machines work and exactly how they're manipulated. This is why we need her in charge of making sure our Ohio elections are no longer compromised. And finally, with all of her accomplishments, the most remarkable thing that I have found is her ability to break down really complex topics into easily understood terms, layman terms, to teach us everything from how your DNA is constructed and affected by the COVID vaccines, to the inner workings of government, giving insight into the tactics that those in charge use to keep the average person under their control. And she helps us to identify these tyrannical tactics they've deployed since the founding of our country. And she teaches us all in such an entertaining way and encourages us to research deeper for ourselves. That's why she has such a large audience. And she serves as such an inspirational example through filing the only writ of mandamus against Governor DeWine for his overreach on COVID measures, even suing her daughter's school board for mask mandates, prompting others to file similar suits. And out of our appreciation for all of her knowledge and guidance, Tori's audience across the world, in many countries and in all 50 states, have organically organized to take back our country. Here in Ohio, we've even organized through our Telegram channel. It's called The New Ohio. We've organized it in 10 different regions. And the Columbus region here is Region 5. It includes Franklin and 9 other counties. And I'm honored to be this region's moderator. We meet twice a month, we break bread together, we work on calls to action to take back our state. Everything from email and letter campaigns against government overreach to even those Trump won stickers and the Biden I did that stickers that you've seen. Tori started it last summer. Sticker brigade, sticker brigade.
Wasn't my idea.
You're too humble. She is helping us regain our voices and our power as citizens of Ohio. Tori likes to say they only look like giants because you are on your knees. And she also says, you don't need a leader, you are all leaders. And that was my personal inspiration for organizing this wonderful Columbus group. Many of you are here. We even have someone that came from Indiana. We have people from other regions that have come to see her. So we break bread, we're going through these battles together, and we're becoming close friends. And for that alone, I'm forever grateful to her. Ladies and gentlemen, Tori Maris.
I'm not doing anything in Columbus. You guys are. So the applause is to you, right? It only takes one person to jump off the cliff, and then everyone's like, "Hey, they're still alive. Let's do it." So thank you. And I'm totally not worthy of any of that. As you guys know, yes, LaRose instructed County Board of Elections to literally violate the law. And I always have faith, right? There's always faith. I feel like I'm the woman in the Bible that keeps going to the judge and he's dismissing her case, and then somebody's like, all right, fine, whatever, just take it. Here's your judgment, right? You can have what you're asking for. I went to the Supreme Court. I knew that wasn't going to work. I mean, I wrote that writ of mandamus against DeWine. And usually the Supreme Court will come back with no, because guess what mine was? No. Period. It's like, when has that ever happened? I just made history right there with the shortest response from the Supreme Court on my writ of mandamus, which obviously I didn't take lying down. I filed it in federal court. I enjoined DeWine in my lawsuit that's still pending in front of Judge Oliver, who everyone's like, oh, he's a Clinton judge, he's this, he's that. And he spanked me real good on the phone. Okay, I can say it because I went pro se. Remember, the courts are the people's courts. It's not the bar associations, right? And I know a lot of people are like, I don't know the law. I don't know what to do. Like, how am I gonna argue it? It's just words. And that's basically it. It's the Olympics of word gymnastics and who says it better. I mean, again, I went to a hearing, massive law firm of 4 attorneys ambushed me. And there was an unopposed motion because I didn't oppose the motion because I didn't have the motion. So that's an automatic loss. I won. And I did win, and that's why my case is still there. And every time they kept coming back, I would tell the judge, I don't care what they say. They started saying, social media is that, object, let's stick to the law and the facts, redirect, because, human beings are emotional beings. And for some reason, we're all attracted to this, emo thing, right? And the thing is, it's Gen X that's going to bring us out of this rut that we're in, okay? Because when you were a Gen Xer, the majority of you, I hope, are, because then I'm like way too old for this crowd. But Gen Xers, we didn't have cell phones and we had them. We didn't have video games and then we had them. We didn't have computers and then we had them. We had the craziest drugs, and we all didn't even realize that Wham was filled with gay guys. We thought it was normal. They were dancing in tighty-whities and shorts. Right? Why? Because we didn't care. That's the reason. We didn't care. We didn't put labels like that. We didn't care. But now you're looking at it and you're like, that was dead obvious. And it's like the YMCA video, totally obvious. But when you were doing Electric Slide, you guys know what that song is about?
Dildo.
I'm not going to say it out loud.
Dildo.
But it's, there you go. It's the one that they wave now in their honor of rights. But the thing is, the Generation X is the one that's going to save people. Because, I say this to my kids. I never experienced anything called racism or being apologetic for the color of my skin. I'm first generation immigrants, right? My parents were fresh off the boat, okay? And I was in New York, melting pot. Never experienced it until I got older. And that's because what this amazing woman was speaking about, CRT was introduced. Suddenly, they put us in boxes. Suddenly we had privilege, but those that are telling us about privilege are the ones making 500,000 to sit on their pedestal to tell us about white privilege. Then they're telling us we should hate men because men make more money. And I was like, how many bricklayer women do you see? Right? They actually work their asses off. Right? They put up shelves. They build. I don't see anybody with Louboutins hanging off no bridge, putting in screws. I'm just saying, if we look at it in that sense, they're talking about what? They're just creating division. And I heard very great commentary and questions about inner city schools. I actually went through that. My daughter, when we moved here, we were in Cleveland. Cleveland Metro was the school. Here's what's the problem. And Secretary of State, I can fix it. They actually create companies now. They're called CEOs, not superintendents. They have funding like crazy. Like the Cleveland Metro School District has this program called GUESS. Amazing program. No, not gonna knock it. You get a 4-year degree from a Cleveland Metro school, 4-year, you do 4 years in high school there and you graduate, you get 4 years of undergraduate free. No matter what university it is. That'd be Harvard, NYU, as long as they accept you, of course. But it's free. That's amazing, right? Gives opportunities, right? But how are they gonna have that opportunity when they got the crappiest teachers ever? It's like they get the stupidest teachers, and it's all the teachers that went through Teach America, and the ones that don't even know basic math. And they're teaching our kids math. Have you seen the curriculum that some teachers go through lately? It's all about child development. How are you gonna help them identify their sex? How are you going to help them identify what box they belong to? How they should be ashamed that kid, is different, right? And then they do a year of math, and they're like, I'm a math teacher. And it's like, yeah, so let's have a conversation. I have that all the time. When I have my daughter's science teacher, explain science to her, right? Like how masks work. And I was like, ask him if he can smell your perfume. Because if you can smell a molecule of perfume through the mask, hey, you sure as hell know you got a million viruses right behind that molecule. So that's not working, right? It's not. So, it's unfortunate, right? But the education is one faction of this war we're fighting, right? One faction. My war is the First Amendment. What people don't realize is your ability to say anything you want isn't just sitting on a soapbox or being able to pull out a prayer mat or wear a hijab or whatever it is. It's being able to vote. That's how you tell your voice. And I was having this conversation with my daughter because we were stuck in some heavy traffic. And the thing about our nation, if we can identify it as a person, right? Let's pretend that this man here is America. America right now is depressed. Seriously, we're in depression. We don't feel like doing anything. We're beat. We've got PTSD like crazy. Oh, you're sick. Nope, you're not. Everyone's getting sick. Nope, you're not. Right? I'm just saying from now. Planes can fly into your building, by the way, right? I'm listening to everything you say. You're on the toilet. There's some guy on the other end watching you. I'm listening to everything you do. Tell me how America feels right now. Super depressed. Super enslaved, super in a box, and unable to express himself, right? But you know how we get out of this depression? And I'm speaking from experience on this. I had something traumatic happen to me just a few years ago. Work. And I don't mean like work like I'm going to dig a hole or build a bridge. I mean, that's good stuff too. Building a bridge, digging a hole, gardening. But it's genuine service to others. You'll be surprised how it cures everything. And you'll be very surprised. And you know what I thought to myself when I was rereading old newspapers on the Library of Congress, because those that have been listening to my podcast, but you can find on iTunes, I'm like top news commentary there too. I'm not a rare find. People just don't talk about me because if they do, then people like me exist. And that means the deep state exists, and therefore we need to... Who's that? In there you will see that I say on my days off, what I like is a cup of coffee, a nice cigarette, and to hang out on the Library of Congress. It's free. You get on there, you just look at things. I'll tell you what, I got really giddy one day. I get letters in the mail, and a guy from the Library of Congress, librarian, right up there, sent me a card with a book of stamps because they know I write. I mean, Library of Congress has access to everything. That includes your video footage, your pictures. You think I'm joking? You'll see in the future. If you're around by the time they make that public. And I was surprised. But they know I know what I'm talking about. This has all been eradicated. So the Library of Congress will show you that everything we're going through now has already happened, but it's just the 2.0 version. Now we're, in the age of technology, right? We're easily distracted. We have social media where people hide behind anonymity and they say stuff. They would not dare even lift their eyes. Like if they were telling you, they'd be doing this while telling you, right? They wouldn't be able to look you in the face, right? Society is so poisoned that they find it okay that there are violations like this. Why? Because America's depressed. Why is America gonna get up? Oh, no, there's a plane that's gonna come in and hit me. Fear. So I exchange safety, right, with my liberty. And as it's been going on, you guys have not seen, but 20 years now, you have not been able to vote. I was actually in the room when they planned the hanging chads. I was literally in that room. And you know what shocks me? That out of all the states, right, if someone was to say the craziest state right now, people would say California. It's actually New York, you guys, all right? They're the ones that were tossing people out on their butts for no COVID cards. I mean, California kind of did. New York really stuck to it, right? New York actually put up a fight to not get e-voting. They put up a fight. Such a big fight that the DOJ literally sued New York for not wanting to get rid of the chats, right? Because they knew it was a fix. They saw what happened in the 2004 elections. They're like, yeah, we're not doing that. And the 2004 elections were right here.
I witnessed it.
Yeah, no,
with
yeah.
an activist group to protest Ohio's electoral votes because I witnessed election fraud on that day.
Yeah.
And our Congress did not listen to anything, the evidence that we presented. And our senator at the time, Voinovich, said that Ohio had spoken, he was going to ratify, and he didn't listen.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew our system is messed up.
Well, that's why, and you know where all that data was hidden, right? Chattanooga, Tennessee, where my Dominion defamation suit is. See, you can't get them. You have no standing. Where am I going to say, hey, Dominion, your machine stole my vote. Prove it. You don't have standing. This is a general grievance doctrine. You're just upset of the outcome. That's why you're going to court. That's what that basically means. How do you fight that? Well, I actually filed an affidavit. And they said it was all garbage. And I'm like, wait a minute. Dominion, did you say my thing? Oh, that means I committed perjury. Let's go to court. You defame me. Now you need to point out where in this document I lied. And this is how you win. This is how you win. You call people to the carpet with actual facts. You call people to the carpet with actual facts. People lose their mind, right? I'm a nobody, right? I'm a person that doesn't exist. And there's a lot of people that don't exist. And that should terrify a lot of people, right? And President Trump actually made mention of those people in August of 2020 when he said, there's a lot of people in the shadows there. Yeah, I know. I was one of them. And, a lot of people say in order to run, you have to be like an outstanding, citizen of, society. Well, I'm an expert at stealing elections. Therefore, I can combat it. That's number one. And I'm an expert at fighting like nobody's business. No matter how much they throw at me, I push back. Because truth doesn't need, coddling. You come at me, I'll be patient. And then I went up against a whole state. A whole state. You guys, take this. They hated me so much that they started an investigation. Clear subpoenas everywhere. Bank accounts, records. You name it, they got colonoscopy. They didn't find one crime. Not one pencil out of place. So then they were like, we're just going to throw a bunch of crap into a civil suit. Because I can put whatever I want. If I want to sue you, I could just say a bunch of stuff and file it in civil court. And you're over. I can say whatever I want. Right? I can say whatever I want. It's civil court. I could file whatever Mickey Mouse pictures. I could say, you know, I can literally Photoshop a picture with a pen and put it into evidence because it's civil court. And I'm still standing. Actually, now I'm suing them. I gotta wait, you know, because it has to be the right time. Unfortunately, the person that I was supposed to sue first, that attorney general, took his life, you know, when those grand jury subpoenas popped. You know, they always choose their own way out. But according to the media, he died of ulcer, then revived himself, then what was it, a heart attack, and then he died again, and then they weren't getting their story straight. Right, they weren't getting their story straight. So as Secretary of State, what can I do? Well, you can be sure I will not dilly-dally. I will not accept deals. That's something I don't do. In fact, if someone comes with me, maybe we can work on something. First thing I'll be like, yeah, all right. Can you put that in writing? Because I just want to post it. Right? There's no deals. The deals are that we should have our right to be represented. We should have the right to have our voices heard, at least at the ballot box.
Yeah.
At least. I mean, they're shutting us up everywhere. Now Biden's created his Ministry of Truth, like I said they would. What is it called? Disinformation something. So now if you say something that's wrong, they're going to criminalize it. Thought crimes.
1984.
It kind of sounds like it.
Yeah.
And they're making it sound really sexy and savvy, and you're just like, wait, Department of Homeland Security is now the head of the disinformation center. I'm really okay with that. See, it's actually quite terrifying. Now, as states, we're independent. That was the agreement. And this is why they took so long to sign that declaration and get those deals, because they were like, they wanted power. They didn't want to relieve power to enjoin it. Now what we're seeing is an increased power grab to take our state's power away. And what we need is our voices heard at the ballot box. And we need our businesses cleaned up. Do you know how rich we're going to be if I'm Secretary of State? Guess what I'm doing on the business side? I'm going to freeze all of Les Wexner's assets.
Yeah.
Right? And why is that? Well, there was an executive order signed on December 21st, 2017, stating that anyone that may be suspected or under investigation of human trafficking, right, or any of that sorts of stuff, we're confiscating your stuff with the U.S. Treasury. Well, he's in Ohio. I do that. All his company assets will be frozen, and he will be held accountable for the same things his best friend Epstein did, right? Because nobody wants to talk about it. We have a pediatric hospital here with his name on it. Isn't that disgusting?
Yeah.
Knowing that in New York, in the court, one of the witnesses was testifying how she and her brother were brought to Ohio, repeatedly raped as children, and trapped here because Epstein brought that kid here. Huh? But nobody minds. And then people are playing coy, like, yeah, you know, pedophilia is bad. John Adams got himself 50 grand from Les Wexner. Frank LaRose got himself 50 grand from Les Wexner. Let me tell you, if he was contributing to my campaign and gave me 50,000, do you think I wouldn't be able to see it? I'd definitely see it. I'm grassroots, so I would definitely see it. But I would see who made that donation. And when I see it, what's the next step that I do? Oh, I need the money? No, it's like, let's take that back. I don't need that karma. I don't need that to identify me. And that's the problem that we have, that people are not paying attention. We're listening to this MLM scam of the DNC and the GOP. They're both scams.
Turn it off.
Again, division. They're telling you what to prove. They're telling you who they endorse. And they're like, look, I raise this much. Why do you need money? You just need the people. If the people believe that you will do what's in their best interest, that you will fight in their best interest, that you will make sure that it's fully transparent, and you're not going to sugarcoat things. And if you mess up, you're going to be like, yeah, you know, so, right? They're gonna let you represent them. That was the foundation of this nation. This is how they coordinated it. When they decided to create the Bill of Rights, they didn't just sit down and say, all right, so and everyone keeps saying it's a Christian nation. It's not. It's based on Christian values, but it's not. The people that actually put that together were atheists, Protestants, they were Catholics, they were everything. Some of the Masons, right? But what they found were that the Christian values actually resonated with them more, that they made sense. So the First Amendment was freedom of speech. You have the right to your religion, you have the right to express yourself, and that is demonstrated in our First Amendment rights. The vote, that is your voice. That ballot is your voice. And while people say it's the safest election, you can cybersecurity talk all you want to someone that doesn't know. The bottom line is, you have to ask yourself, and I'm going to make it simple for you so you can see how these machines work. The ballot goes in, it gets encrypted. Then it gets encrypted again, then it sits in a machine. Next ballot comes in, next, and they're all there. Then it does something called mixing. That way nobody can identify whose vote was what. And then it decrypts it, and then it decrypts it, and out come the results. And this is why we get fractions. And people are like, wait, why is it a fractional vote? I don't understand. Because in the software, this was created, right? Why are we anonymizing it in there? It's not like someone's standing on top of you. They're not going to remember you were the 50th ballot, and it's not going to show the 50th ballot, right? Why isn't it just tagging it? Because it wasn't created for us. That software was created for other nations that were supposedly in turmoil and were scared to death if someone knew. That was the it. Highly secure, we're anonymizing everything. No one's going to see it. But when you create a decryption code, you can also give instructions to say, you need to make sure that A, B, C, D get this amount of percentage. Make it look like it's real. What are the demographics? You think they don't know how this county here votes? Of course they do. They got your Facebook, they got your Twitter, they have your Instagram, your health records, your school records, your driving records, deeds, titles, everything, your credit report. And they're like, yeah, so with a strong confidence, with the standard deviation of 3%, they're gonna vote red. So what do? They make sure that they can shuffle the votes enough to get it to where it's believable. And it tells the computer, by the end, we want this result. You're waiting for so many ballots. This is why 2020 was funny. Because what they didn't realize is that they were being watched. That's number one. What they didn't realize is that people they thought would just vote blue because they were told to vote blue. We're not voting blue. And if you look at the Ukraine elections, right, that happened in 2014, which I helped with, they stopped counting in the middle of the night.
Just happened in
Just
France.
like in America in 2020.
Just happened in France. Too.
Well, yeah, I said it would. And the thing is, they stopped counting and they're like, oh, we got hacked. Obviously, it's always the Russians. Of course. Like, you know, and I would pick the Russians too, because they're dangerous. They have no debt. They're the only nation on the planet with no debt. I'd say them. But it stopped them too. And then the next day, the other guy won. And it's like, yeah, the Russians were trying to hack it. Actually, if you guys were paying attention,